All right, so I'm gonna make a quick video on the New World Order. So if you don't stay up to date, like because I watch a lot of political stuff. I watch a lot of I guess what Trump is doing, even though I don't know. Ever since things have become so globalized since 2020, it's kind of like if you're not watching the news or you're not watching politics, you're kind of gonna be left in the dust. As far as what's going on in our world, I think I don't know. I think a lot of people maybe do ignore that stuff on purpose. But me, having been in the military and having studied the media, I always want to be up to date with what's going on in the world, right? Even though it is kind of stressful. Like I talk to my therapist, and my therapist would be like, hey, yeah, sometimes I'll be fishing, and while I'm fishing, I'm listening to the news. I'm listening to what's going on in the world. She's like, you would think that's kind of stressful. And I'm like, yeah, it is. But, I want to be in the know, right? So this video is going to be about the New World Order that's coming into fruition. I believe it started in 2020. Quick little timeline. Yeah, once 2020 happened, this is just my theory, right? 2020 happened, there's the shock, the trauma, the world trauma, everybody was going through the COVID thing. Then came the reprogramming, right? So after the trauma comes the reprogramming. Again, I mentioned this in another video, but like in boot camp, right? Any boot camp, but it's pretty extreme in Marine Corps boot camp, and that's what I experienced. And like you go in there as a civilian, having your old habits and ways, growing up on the block kind of thing, and they break you down, they traumatize you. I mean, the shit, it's not even that crazy, but the screaming, the chaos, the just endless bullshit you have to deal with at boot camp to break you down, and then so they can rebuild you. But in a way, it is kind of like trauma, right? They break you mentally, and I think that's what happened during COVID. We all got kind of broken mentally, unless were aware of it. But I think it affected everybody to an extent. You're constantly seeing online or on the news, COVID deaths. Don't get close to your loved ones, stay away from 6 feet, all this shit that traumatized a lot of people. From the trauma, then a couple years go by, you can re-enter society if you get your shot, and we can go back to normalcy. Which normalcy, I think a lot of people would agree that this normalcy now, it's like a sick Frankenstein recreation of what we once knew as a civilized society. I'm speaking, from the West. I live in Texas, but this whole country, everything's been globalized with Facebook and social media in general, that I think I could pretty much speak for almost everybody, because social media has such far reaches that our society today isn't what it used to be. People are tribalized. They're in their own rabbit holes. They don't trust each other. They don't trust their governments, and rightly so, because again, the 2020 happened and people were traumatized. Just to get back to my point, and then social media and corporate media went ahead and did the in the military or boot camp, they break you down to rebuild you into the image of a soldier, an airman, a seaman in the Navy, or a Marine, right? But that breakdown has to happen first. Then they reprogram you to what they want you to be. And I think that's what we saw after 2020. And you can read it on the 2030 agenda from the UN. It's like blatantly out there online. This whole women's empowerment thing, right? And nothing against women. I fucking love women, right? Women are awesome. But back in the day, and I'm only 29, but I still remember like dating, and chicks were feminine, dude, like seriously, legitimately feminine. They didn't come from broken homes. You know, they had brothers and sisters. They loved their dad, kind of shit. Their dad loved them. But with this new women's empowerment, it's like a lot of these chicks are growing up, these newer generations, and it's affecting the older ones too. Because I love older women too. Damn. Oh my God. Sorry. But it's affecting all these women, and they're constantly on social media. Everybody is, pretty much. But I notice a lot of pictures, or places you even go, and you know, it's chicks are, especially these younger chicks, they always have their phone in their hands, always in their hands. Like, I'm like, put it in your pocket or something. Like, but it's kind of like a constant feed. It's kind of constant. They're controlling their own reality. And you know, this whole women's empowerment thing is just, you know, there was a lot of these years after COVID, the demeaning men, just tearing them down, the masculinity, toxic masculinity kind of stuff. But masculinity, traditionally, throughout history, is what has kept tyranny in check, right? Men are the ones that, by nature, tend to be less agreeable. They don't go along with certain things. Men of honor, men of integrity, especially, don't tolerate that stuff. You know, as a Marine, you don't tolerate that stuff. But I'm seeing it, and I'm like, okay, this women's empowerment thing, and you know, women feel some of these women, a lot of them, entitled, and like, men aren't shit. And then it's kind of weird, because it's like, yeah, women have begun to be more masculine, and then guys are taught to be more feminine. It's a sick, again, Frankenstein role, twisted way of things, the way things used to be. And I'm getting to a point, because my point is that this is how it has to be for a new world order to emerge. Guys mainly aren't going to, nowadays in dating and all this stuff, you know, I've kind of stayed out of it for a bit. I haven't seriously dated for, like, I want to say it's been 2 years already. You know, I've been trying to focus more on the spiritual, just continuing education. Semi-retired, so I'm working on some property, and you know, keeping myself occupied. But it's not the way it used to be. Definitely not the way it used to be. Even, you know, it's really sad seeing, like, even females like I used to know kind of change with society. And it's like, I don't know them anymore, so I cut them off. Or they're like not the same, so you can't communicate with them like you used to. And I think it is all this social media stuff, and it's really kind of sad, because you start to see how people can just change with the times. Some people aren't true to themselves, so they change with the times. I believe I'm true to myself. I've always stayed myself. I've grown, gotten educated, you know, but I'm also aware of the way the world is, what happened in 2020 and what's continuing to happen. So yeah, all that stuff, you know, people got kind of mind fucked, right? The trauma, and now it's just all this chaos. And it's kind of like, well, that's what happens. Again, this is my theory, but I believe what we're seeing ultimately leading up to a new world order. If you watch the WEF recently, World Economic Forum, a bunch of people were speaking, but basically a lot of these world leaders are pointing to the old world order is dead. They literally say that, and then they're talking about this new world order that's emerging. So it's not conspiracy anymore. But yeah, it's coming to fruition. And I believe the ones that will succeed in this new world order are the ones that comply, the ones that go with the flow. Whatever the system says, it's this thing one day and then it's this thing the next. Again, going back to men and women, their nature, men traditionally by nature are less agreeable. But when masculinity is stamped out or not tolerated or shamed, those types of people tend to kind of just go do their own thing. Maybe move to small towns, small cities, small towns. Keep to themselves, keep to their local, their trusted friends and family, and just kind of stay out of it. But for the masses, especially the ones in larger cities, we're already seeing it. This feminine rule, which is dictated by trends of social media, right? You see it. If you're a free-thinking masculine dude, if you're a dude that won't comply. Oh, look, this is also with the dating, right? It's like nowadays chicks have all the power. It's reinforced by the corporate media as well as social media. So it's two fronts, dude. Two fronts that your chick or your wife is getting hit by. And you as a dude, and I'm saying this is just how it is, man. Either play the game and get fucked ultimately, which a lot of dudes are, or you kind of step back and wait for it to kind of pass, if it passes, and focus on yourself, which is what I'm doing. Because people change, women change, dudes change. But nowadays it's like they're getting hit on two fronts. Corporate media, social media. Corporate media being commercials, advertisements, stuff like that. Netflix shows, garbage. Hulu, garbage. Don't watch that shit. It's all programming. This is coming from a communications major. I graduated with honors, so I can say that. It's not conspiracy. And the second front is social media. And if they're following these trends and they're girlies and all this shit, they're going to be hit by that too. And it's like women empowerment, men aren't shit. Women empowerment, men aren't shit. Keep your man on a leash. Don't let your man tell you what to do. That kind of shit. And guys, if they want, look, I'm gonna be straight up. Guys, anything a guy does is for the, right? And mostly anything in this world. So the chick has all the power, and guys have to comply if they want that. And then it comes down to, am I willing to tear down my morals and my ethics? Am I willing to bend down, happy wife, happy life? And sometimes a lot of these chicks, they're not accountable to anybody, especially if they're not godly chicks. And bro, you got a ring on it, but she's still fucking around. And you can't say shit or she'll leave you. You can't reinforce boundaries or she'll call you toxic kind of shit. And you see this a lot, dude, and it's like the chick wears the pants. The chick is the dude and the dude is the chick. This is the new way of things, right? Completely unbiblical, completely out of order. It's sick, it's twisted. But this is the kind of compliance the new world order needs. The masses are compliant. The chick is going along, doing her thing on social media all the time, buying shit, consuming, being social with her girlies, and you're the dude getting dragged along, and she's probably fucking around, and you can't say shit because she'll leave you. She's got all the power, bro. So this is what the new world order needs, because that's a compliant It's the compliant masses. So basically what I'm getting to is that, and this is throughout the corporate culture too, right? And it sucks because it's like everything is feminized now towards like, if you want to be, you can't be yourself as a dude. You got to be in this corporate culture and in dating. You got to be more compliant. You got to be willing to put up with bullshit, to be willing to put up with lies, manipulation. It's really toxic, dude. It's really fucking toxic. So it comes down to, do I want to go along with the world, or do I want to, put my faith and trust in what's true? And it's really dividing people a lot. But, back to social media, the New World Order, and, we're starting to see a lot of chaos break out with this whole ICE shit. And again, this is my theory, but I think that, I don't believe in the whole two-party system. Republicans and Democrats. I have another video I explained that, why I don't anymore. But basically, I believe that, if Republicans and Democrats are working together, and I believe they are at the top, it's not a party thing, it's a class thing. It's the wealthy and the rest of us, and that's kind of history. That's how it's always been. They created this party thing to keep us fighting each other. But I believe during the Biden administration, before this second Trump administration, they kept the border open and they let all these illegals come in, whatever. And of course that stoked the fire between Republicans and Democrats. And then now we have Trump. Oh, they freaking Biden, dumb Biden, Sleepy Joe, all silly, right? All goofy, just to get people laughing. He's a showman. He let people in, and now we got to send in ICE and enforce the law. It's like, yeah, true. But this is a lawless country now. Enforcing the law is only going to stoke the fire, right? But I believe that, they let them in, and then, it's a cause-reaction solution. Democrats let them in. They're illegal, they're staying here, and now we got to get them out, so Republicans come in. And then now they're like, okay, we're going to reinforce the law. But look at all this commotion it's causing. Immigrants have already had themselves rooted in this country, and our country is a country of immigrants, but it's kind of like, it gets people confused and at each other's throats, because it's like, y'all shouldn't have let them in the first place. But again, problem, reaction, solution. Let them in. This is just my theory. But let them in, and then have the Republicans, rein them in with ICE. And it's going to create chaos. They know it's going to create chaos. And now, look, Trump's already talking about invoking the Insurrection Act, to where the military is going to basically be the police. And we already saw a lot of that, when he was throwing ICE at Chicago, or not ICE, the National Guard into Chicago. The Marines were in LA. It's all just to get people kind of used to that stuff, right? That's the bottom line. There's going to be chaos. I don't know whether it's going to stem ultimately from this ICE stuff, or AI coming in, people losing jobs, whatever. But I believe that they're going to need the military in these cities for something. And there's going to be a new world order that emerges. And again, this future is going to, my theory again, because I'm trying to figure it out too, right? I'm watching what I can, and continuing my education, studying current events, and of course studying history. But it looks like, we're divided, guys. Gender division. After COVID, people don't trust each other. Trust in communities has gone down. Trust in our nation, and we're not unified anymore. Definitely not. To where it's like, it's gonna end up being a globalized world order. AI's coming in. I don't know. I don't know exactly how that's gonna play out, but it's gonna be a world of compliance. And you can already see it now. I see it from the outside looking in, kind of thing. I'm blessed to have what I have and stuff, and I'm working on other things to kind of free myself a little bit more up for myself, for my family. But it's like I'm seeing it, the compliance, a lot of it through social media. It reprogrammed people, like I said, after COVID. And it's like now there's this new way of things, new way that things are. It's all about the attention economy kind of stuff. People are starving for attention. Females have all the power, and it puts dudes like us, like, that have morals and ethics, and we want to be ourselves, individuals, free thinkers. Don't put up with bullshit. It puts us on the marginalized is us, to where then we have to make a decision. And I'm sure there's chicks out there too that they don't want to comply with all this, but it's easier for them to, because this world is offering them power. But if you want to be a dude, if you want to be yourself as a guy, you're gonna have to count the cost. It's kind of like, I'm reading the Bible too, and Christ talks to his disciples about counting the cost of discipleship. And let me see if I can find that real quick. Basically, he's telling them, like, hey, dude, it's gonna cost you. So are you gonna get in line with the world, or are you going to follow me, kind of thing? Dude, I can't find it. I can't find it right now, and I don't want to like drag this on just by looking for this. But I am gonna end with another scripture, like I've been trying to do in my videos. But yeah, I have one in mind. Cool. All right. Anyway, so yeah, I'm gonna finish this up. But basically, this New World Order is gonna be about compliancy, and a lot of people are already stuck in social media, their own meta worlds, in a way to where if you're living in reality and you're staying true, the truth won't be tolerated, right? You can already see that. The truth will not be tolerated. If you go against people's own little realities that they've created via social media or just in their head, and you speak truth, you're going to be hated. You're not going to be tolerated, and it'll probably get eventually to like how Christ talks about, persecution. This used to seem far-fetched to me, but after 2020, I kind of see it coming in. So yeah, that the future is going to be about compliance, fitting in, doing what you're told, turning away from corruption, turning a blind eye from corruption, just to get by. Let me see what else. Just putting up with bullshit and agreeing with it, even if it's corrupt. Corruption's gonna reign, and again, truth will be suppressed or not tolerated. Again, this is it's kind of crazy, right? Because I was a conspiracy theorist, right? In high school, I always used to look into this stuff, the all-seeing eye and stuff like that, and I'd be like tripped out. But this is real stuff, and it's coming into fruition. Literally, the World Economic Forum, they're talking about this New World Order, and everything's primed for it. Everyone's mind fucked after COVID, to where totalitarian and authoritarian globalized order just seems perfect to keep people in line and compliant. And again, if you don't fit in, if you stand out in this new world order, which equals if you stand for the truth, and if you stand for, ultimately you look for the truth, if you search for the truth, you're always going to end up at Christ, always. So ultimately, if you stand for Christ in this new world order, you might die for him, and yeah, that's dying for the truth. But again, you got to count the costs. Do I want to comply? This is how I, pros cons kind of thing, reasoning. Do I comply with this new world that has nothing for me as an individual and free thinking dude? This world that says one thing is right one day, and then the other thing is right the next day. Very inconsistent. This world that is more and more rewarding, wild behavior and foolishness and corruption. This world that thrives off of chaos and hatred, and we're seeing it more and more. This world where money means everything, and values and morality and even creativity is beginning to count for nothing, especially with AI. This world ultimately that is lacking humanity. And if you're not a human, if you're a human but you can't be a human, what's the point of life? Humans, again, I remember before 2020, there's a lot more humanity. Humans crave relationships, meaningful, true, reliable, honorable, straight up trustworthiness. They crave creativity. They want to be able to express themselves, whether it's music, art, writing. All that stuff's going away, guys, with AI. So I count the costs. Do I want that? All of that corruption and BS that's coming in and it's rewarded? Or am I willing to give it all up, for the truth? Because I don't see a life here anymore. Anyways, yeah, it's pretty deep. This new world order is pretty wild. It's kind of stuff that people don't want to think about, but I deal with chronic pain and shit and depression, and sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm already halfway dead. So what's the next half? It's nothing. I see a world that I once believed, it was worthwhile living here, and now it's just corruption, degradation, just disgusting, twisted version of what it once was, or what I once believed it was, because the world's always been corrupt. But anyways, so this is my take on this new world order that's coming in. Again, there's no hope I believe that there's no hope in this world. You can ask any Christian. There's not supposed to be any hope in this world. Otherwise, Christ wouldn't have died. He would have just continued to live, and maybe lived here forever or whatever, or rose again and then just stayed here, but he went to heaven. But he was like, nah, dude, I'm getting out of here. I don't want to live here. That's how I see it. Anyways, so this one I'm going to end with the scripture. So this is Matthew 5:13 through 16. This goes out to everybody that's, if you're watching this and you don't like this world system, you don't agree with it, and you're searching for truth, or the truth, and you want to be yourself, stay yourself the way God made you, and you don't want to comply with this new world order, this goes out to you, right? So Matthew 5:13 through 16. Disciples and the world. This is the New American Standard. You are the salt of the earth, but if the salt has become tasteless, how can it be made salty again? It is no longer good for anything except to be thrown out and trampled underfoot by men. You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. Nor does anyone light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on the lampstand, and it gives light to all who are in the house. Like that. Let your light shine before men in such a way that they may see your good works and glorify your Father who is in heaven. So basically, if you have the light in you, if you have the Spirit in you in these days, and if you don't, pray, ask God, and in His time, He will reveal Himself to you. But if you do have that, or you want to stand for the truth, you got to be yourself and be unafraid and unapologetic of being yourself, and be the light of the world, the salt of the earth. Because, like the scripture said, if you lost your salt, your taste, you're just like the world, and the world's getting darker every day. So I hope y'all enjoy that. Got pretty dark towards the end, but I appreciate you listening. Give me a like, please. That'd be cool. Comment, subscribe, all that stuff. I'm gonna be making more videos as they come to mind, so I appreciate it. Thanks.